You're listening to Affected by Altitude, a Colorado Rockies podcast for and by Rockies fans on Rocky Mountain Rooftop. Thank you for joining us as we discuss all things baseball and Colorado Rockies.
Hello and welcome here to another edition of Affected by Altitude, a Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Rocky Mountain Rooftop Network, a proud affiliate of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Skyler Timmons, joined here wearing a new Rockies hat. It's Evan Lang.
But it's Malibu Stacy, and she's got a new hat.
Yes, but she's got a new hat. Hello, Smithers. I'm not going to finish that joke.
You should probably just ignore that.
Good times. But yes, this is a Affected by Altitude episode. Rough times ahead. We're recording this just after the Rockies finale in San Diego. We're going to dive into all of that in this episode. A lot of rough stuff, but before we dive into everything, are you okay, Evan? All right, we just got to check in. How you doing?
I'm not having a good time. I'm not. This is... Oh, it's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's a bad time. It's a bad time to be a Rockies fan.
So we're going to try to make this, Evan, build this as a sandwich. This episode, we're gonna maybe have some bread, we're gonna have some garbage in the middle, and then we'll have some better stuff on the bottom of the episode.
That doesn't sound like a particularly appetizing sandwich.
No, but you have to eat it.
What? Must I?
You're gonna eat it, and you're gonna like it.
Why? Why do I have to eat it?
Because you're a growing boy.
I'm a grown man.
Nope, you're a growing boy.
He's a man. He's 40.
I'm a man. I'm a mega man. But we're going to kick things off here. Lots to get into about the Rockies. But first, top of the thing that was kind of the talk of the town over these last couple days, aside from the Rockies play on the field. But new City Connects 2.0 were unveiled just the other day. Evan is wearing the new City Connect hat for the video version of viewers over on YouTube. Now, Evan, we saw the leaks of the jersey a couple weeks ago, and initial reactions were not a fan. I believe it's kind of the consensus I think we had, and seeing a lot of people on social media is not a fan of just kind of maybe the initial designs of the new jerseys and whatnot. Is that kind of fair to say?
Yeah, I would agree. The initial leaks were not particularly well received. I didn't particularly care for them, and it wasn't necessarily. It's not the colors. I think the colors are fabulous. It was just the overall design of the thing, and without context, a single image or few promotional images of the blank uniform on a variety of Nike models or whomever didn't leave the best first impression.
Yeah I think that was the thing, is people like the colors, they like the overall vibe they're going for, which is kind of like Denver sunrise sunsets, whatever, at Denver Skies, which there's some skiing nods in there and everything. So overall, you look at them, you're like, okay, I like what they're going for. But yeah, it's the maybe the design of the jersey a little bit is kind of what's putting people off just a smidgen. With like the biggest complaint, it is a pullover V-neck, pullover jersey, which kind of herald back to old-timey old baseball, and the jerseys that some of these players had growing up as their first journey into baseball. It's like I get what they're going for with that jersey. It's still like I'd rather just be a button-up.
I think even just it being halfway, like a couple of the All-Star uniforms have been, where it's got just 2 or 3 buttons on the neck, would be an improvement over a straight pullover design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but overall, you look at it, and I think we've had as the dust has settled, we've sat and looked at them a little bit. They're not bad. I think they're still good uniforms. A good design, good idea behind them. There's just the nitpicky things, but overall, it could have been this is a really good a good alternative to what we had before, to the old City Connects.
It's tricky because I've asked a lot of people what their opinions are, and it's all been very, very mixed.
Mm-hmm.
Most people really like the colors. They're fresh, they're bold, they're a little bit of a step away from your normal Rockies colors. That's all well and good. Most people, however, don't like the pullover design. And the most common thing that I have heard is either it reminds me of Taco Bell.
Hey, that's fitting with the Rockies, though. Put a big 7 on there. They should have put the tacos '*s on there.
We're not going to get many of those this season.
Yeah.
And I've seen some people say it reminds me more of something like the 90s Phoenix Suns would wear. Like,
There you go.
lots of people saying it doesn't really stand out to me as Rockies per se.
But I think people are still like forgetting what the point of the City Connects are. It's not the identity of the team; it's the city or state that they're representing. And so that's where you can be weird and wild. It doesn't have to be, it needs to be solid purple with some accent. Like, no, that's boring. Don't do what the White Sox did of inverse, the inverse pinstripes for their initial ones. It's like this one, yeah, it's a little bit out of the box, but you could still this doesn't look like a random softball uniform that a lot of those other ones did.
I think it's tough because we're coming away from what was largely considered one of the best City Connects of the entire first generation. And in my opinion, one of the better uniform sets in the league. We did lose the green pants on the original City Connect jerseys after a season or two due to the players requesting it. And it does sound like for this one, the players overwhelmingly requested white pants to go with these. And I think the white pants does help.
I don't know what color they would have gone with. The blue?
Probably that either blue or that purple.
Yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, no, these fit well with the white pants. I liked the green pants.
I also like the green
but
pants.
I can understand if it's getting hot.
It's getting toasty and it's what the players want. Then you go with what the players want.
Yeah.
And the players seem to like them. We had some folks in the clubhouse after the reveal. The players seem to like them. They're interesting. Like, I'm going to say that it's a unique brand identity. And one of the things, so I was at my local Rockies dugout store today to go look at the hats, and I wanted to see the uniforms in person. And I was having this discussion with the clerk over there, and I've had similar discussions with some of my fellow baseball writers on this, is if this was a streetwear brand, all of their street clothes, they knocked it out of the park. Really fun, vibrant colors and designs. The dugout hoodie is really, really good. The hats have been really, really, really good. The shirts, a lot of the other apparel, just as a general streetwear vibe, has been excellent so far. And the only thing that I'm really not sold on is the uniforms themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking with the clerk, we both sort of agreed on, I feel like the more people see them in action on TV, the players wearing them on the field, it's going to grow on people. Yeah. Like, I've already come down a couple notches from where I was when they were first revealed, which was I really didn't think I liked them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still not sure I like them, but I don't think I hate them.
Yeah. It's the numbers on it, like that pop of yellow on it. Like, I think it really helps, because that was a complaint we had when we saw the leaks and stuff of there's just this big purple block.
Yeah.
And then the blue, and the Rockies slapped across the chest. That could be better. That could have been a different design, maybe. Yeah. I don't like just slapping that mountain logo right there on the front too, in the middle, on top of the Rockies going across the chest. But the yellows from the letterings and the embroidered lettering and stuff, that pops. I think that helps break it up a little bit better, makes them a little bit more appealing to me. As for the video version, you can see a picture.
Go ahead and pull that up. It does look a lot better with all of the patches, numbers, and nameplates on them.
Yeah.
It's something to break up the big purple blob at the bottom. I don't love the font that it says Rockies. I actually like the mountain logo, but what I would have done is I would have stretched it across the entire front of the jersey, kind of like you did with the license plate City Connects, where you have that purple sort of bleed into the mountains at the top, and then you have the blue take over the rest of the jersey instead of how it just says Rockies on the front. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna ask if the material of it, on just like how does it feel with the replicas or the authentics? How did the material feel of this jersey?
I haven't seen the authentics, like the on-field authentics, and I probably never will because they are very expensive. But the replicas, the material is the same. It feels like the replica jersey. The mountain logo, it isn't just screen printed on there. It is like kind of patch like, so it stands off a little bit on the uniform, which I think does help. It adds a little bit of texture. I think it was an interesting choice to reuse the same CO patch that they used in the other ones, just with the updated color scheme.
Yeah.
I'm still not really a fan of that patch, but I think it's a little bit more fun and vibrant on this uniform. The colors look a lot better in person. They pop a lot more. It really is. It's sort of tough to put across how these look when you haven't seen them in person. And I'm not the only one who said they look better in person. Our managing editor over at Purple Rose, Sam Bradfield, said the same thing of they look a lot better in person, and they do. And I really like the funky colors on the mountain logo. I like the sky blue. I'm glad that the entire thing was not powder blue, because I'm a little sick of pure powder blue jerseys, to be frank. I like the multicolored pinstripes down the side of the pants. I think that's fun. Like, overall, I think this is a better design than I initially gave it credit for. But my criticisms still stand out of there's still a little bit of a lack of cohesion to it, with how it just drops off into the big purple mess down at the bottom. The fact that it's not a button down, the fact that it's just a pure solid pullover jersey. But overall, and also I would have repeated, so on the neckline, they've got the multicolor stripes. I would have repeated that on the sleeves instead of having the just the solid pink on there, because I think the multicolor stripes do look good. So I probably would have kept it that way. I like the yellow. I surprisingly like the yellow number font on the front. I did not think that I would, but I do.
Yeah. I did. Diving in here, some other stuff. Overall, it's like it's not terrible. It's just hard because we had those license plate ones that were just so good, it popped so well, nice and unique, and fit in with Colorado. This one, a little bit more bolder direction for them, and it's all fine. What if they had gone a different color with that hat instead of like going with the blue? They'd gone with like the sunrise motif, and like the hat turned into like the sun. It's like that orange.
I can see it,
but
I can see it.
Blue works fine.
And some of the other hats have been good too. They have a batting practice cap, an alternate cap that is that color of purple, with sort of a rainbow C that it ends with a little Colorado Columbine, which is a pretty neat little hat. And I like the main hat, and I like the overall theme. So the overall theme is Colorado sunrises and sunsets, or I think they said Colorado from sunrise to sunset.
Yeah.
And with the colors, and this is what originally we thought we were getting, was something sunrise themed after some of the initial leaks. And I do think it works. It's never been the colors that I've had a problem with.
It's just like the execution of implementing those colors together. The thing, real quick thing here that we can touch on, other little details. Inside the hat, the interior of the hat is lined with the Denver city flag, punctuated by the beautiful colors highlighted throughout our state and the uniform. So it's like just the classic triangle mountains with the colors, and there's some suns over there.
So that is only on the fitted caps, by the way. So if you get a flex fit like I do, it does not have the designs on the inside of the cap.
What about the snapbacks?
Snapbacks, I don't think so either. So far, I've only seen it on the fitted caps.
But they also have a ripstop pattern inspired by the classic clothing materials worn by skiers and snowboarders. In the reveal, I was about to say reveal trailer.
I mean, that's essentially what it
What it
was.
is, in the reveal video, it showed people pretty much riding, doing some snowboarding and stuff. The pullover jersey's design has the mountain logo, encompasses all that the front region represents. And then it's just the messaging is what kind of made us laugh a little. We're like trailblazing our future, and this is from their press release stuff. It says, "A new day is upon us. The path ahead may be uncharted, but it promises a vibrant, bold new future if we forge forward together. It's a time for the dawn of a new day, punctuated with rays of the triumphs of our past. Welcome to the future of nostalgia."
It's a terrible slogan. And it's hard to, they're like, oh, it's a bold new direction. It's like, you mean like the one we've been begging this team to take for a decade now?
Well, yeah, and like, no, talking about it, and like, you understand the reasonings behind it too. Of, well, we're a young team. We have this young future that we're building towards and stuff. And so, like, yeah, that's great sentimentalities and all this stuff, sentiments and whatnot. It's just the irony that the way the current team is built and the way they're performing, it just kind of rings hollow with everything that the team has done over the years. Like, they keep talking about, yeah, we have all these young players, but they're really only using them out of necessity at this point, and
Yeah.
nobody's succeeding aside from maybe one guy on the
The
mound. Only has
original
2 starts.
26-man roster, when the season started, had gotten older by average age
Yeah.
than the team last year that had 38-year-old Charlie Blackmon on it.
Mhm. So, the messaging's just funny, but overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, Evan, how would you rate these?
Right now, I think I'm sitting like a 6.5 to a 7.
I'd give them a 7.5,
It's
maybe an
also
8. They're not they're I think that's things we sit in they're more they'll grow on me. I am disappointed by the hat. That's the biggest thing, and the no buttons. But
I think what's tough is, and I've talked about this before with other teams, with the Broncos, uh, with their ice white helmets or whatever you called them last year, is you don't necessarily want to reveal a new brand identity, new uniforms, new logos when the team is really bad,
mhm,
because you're going to associate that setup with the team being really bad. And right now, the Rockies are really bad.
yeah, that's what happened with the other City Connects that they played terribly in.
And that was a shame because those were fantastic. Like, I give those a 10 out of 10. Like, legitimately one of my favorites of the entire first batch, only really surpassed, in my opinion, by the original Washington Nationals City Connects, the gray with the cherry blossoms. And the new National City Connects are also really good. And I think that fits better for them because they are a younger team on the rise who are sort of working their way out of being a really bad team. But the Rockies are still a really bad team.
Mhm.
And you can't blame the uniforms. It's not the uniforms' fault, but we baseball fans are a superstitious and cowardly lot.
Mhm.
And it's just hard not to associate certain uniform combinations or certain logos or certain jerseys with losing.
Mhm.
And I think, unfortunately, that's probably what's going to happen with these.
Yep. But hey, they're still better than the funfetti cake uniforms that the Dodgers have.
I don't mind those. The one that made me laugh the most is that the White Sox jerseys are essentially Chicago Bulls jerseys.
Hey, it works. And also, in case anyone is wondering, they did find a way to slap 5280 on this thing. It is on a little patch that was probably like near bottom of the hem, the jock
Yeah,
jock
on the
tags or
jog
whatever.
tag.
They did find a way to put baseball at altitude in Denver, Colorado, 5,280 feet.
I don't mind that as much because at least it like fits in with that
Yeah.
motif.
It's
And
not
it's
slapped
like,
across the chest.
it's not slapped across the chest, it's not front and center. And like, part of their whole design is talking about skiing and snowboarding. It's like, Okay, fine.
I just hope that I could find one in it's a regular pullover is a little less forgiving size wise if you fluctuate and whatnot than a button up jersey is. Because if the if the button up jersey doesn't fit, Evan, you can still wear it like a vest.
And the other issue that I've had with more recent Nike jerseys is the neck and the head hole is a little bit smaller than uniforms of the past. So where I used to never have to unbutton a button, I could just pull the jersey on. With the newer designs, I've had to unbutton the top two buttons so I can squeeze my large head on through. And I'm a little worried about my my enormous melon not quite fitting through the head hole of this pullover.
But all in all, not too shabby. New City Connects, they will debut April 18th against the Washington Nationals. Friday home games, I believe, will be their City Connect nights. So look forward to that. They'll have promotions throughout the season too, of some giveaways that are related to the City Connects, like I think a tote bag, that kind of stuff, later on in the season. So look forward to that. Let us know, what do you think about the City Connects? Not too shabby. We have our gripes with them, but as always, could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
But speaking of things that are worse, when we come back after a quick break, we got to talk about this Rockies offense. So don't go anywhere. Plenty left to go here on Affected by Altitude. Welcome back here to Affected by Altitude. Skyler, Timmons, Evan Lang here with you. And talking about City Connects, not too shabby. Something that is pretty shabby, not too great right now, is the Colorado Rockies offense, which we knew it was going to be a problem. It's been a problem for the last couple of years, and it's a dead horse that we have been beating time and time again. Has PETA come up with a different phrase for that yet? Like arm barn?
I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. Cutting a chopped carrot.
Sure, that works. But yeah, it's been bad, and we knew it was going to be a problem. We known the problems.
Oh,
but it's
mashing a rotten potato. There you go.
There you go. But Evan, it's just gotten worse, and punctuated by the 3-game series in San Diego, first series of this new road trip. They are held scoreless through 3 games. First time in franchise history that has happened to them, to be shut out in 3 consecutive games. They are getting really close to setting their franchise record of scoreless innings, which dates back to like 30 innings or so, or something, or the main record, maybe not the franchise record, but the record is 30 innings and whatnot. So it's bad. It's been bad down there in San Diego. Just 9 hits, 12 base runners in the series. Not good, Evan. And we're
8 of those base runners were Kyle Farmer.
Yeah. So it's been bad. It's been ugly, and honestly frustrating for everybody. Because you know what? It's same old crap that we've been dealing with this team for several years now in the Bud Black era.
Yeah, and my article will be up by the time this goes, but I'm working on an article that's covering this. I'm tired of talking about this. I've written about the Rockies offense being broken multiple times a year since I became a writer at Purple Row. We talk about this all the time on the show. We talk about it all the time off the show. But right now, I feel like this Rockies offense is perhaps the worst it's ever been. Mm-hmm. I've never felt, to the degree that I do now, this is unwatchable baseball.
Yeah.
It is rancid to every degree of the imagination.
Because I think part of it, too, with how bad it is, because, like, these are problems that the Rockies have had throughout their history, too. But it was also sandwiched where you had star, really good hitters in the lineup. You had a Nolan Arenado. You had a Troy Tulowitzki, a Carlos Gonzalez, a Todd Helton, Matt Holliday. There were a lot of those years, and throughout their history, where there have been exciting hitters in that offense, or the offense has been really good because the the old adage, you just know they're going to hit. That was a reason in Colorado because of the caliber of players they would bring in for the offensive players. There was a knack for guys that, okay, yeah, they're still going to hit. Yeah, they're going to struggle on the road, but all in all, the quality of offensive output in that lineup, it's only ruined because of the bad pitching. But now we're in an era where not only is the pitching bad, even though it can be good, the offense is rancid. It's
Yeah.
inconsistent. There is not a single. There's a couple. There's Brenton Doyle, who's been doing good. Ezekiel Tovar has shown growth. He's doing his thing. But other than those two, you can't really count on much for this offense.
Yeah. And Brenton Doyle was shut down for this series with a nagging quad injury. And I think it shows how important he is to this offense because he's one of the few players on this team right now that you can rely on to do something. They're just not competitive at bats. Nobody is pulling their weight here. And to get shut out in 3 straight games, shut out and swept by the San Diego Padres, who admittedly off to a hot start, but this is a team that we're normally able to at least put up some semblance of a defense against. And like the pitching, the bullpen is as bad as we expected it to be, if not a little bit worse. In 15 games, whatever, they've given up at least 1 run in all but one of them. The rotation has unfortunately fallen back to earth after a really good first couple weeks. But here's the thing. You could have 5 Cy Young pitchers in that rotation.
Yeah.
And you'd still be losing all these games because the offense is just so putrid, where we've got the second most strikeouts in the league, the highest strikeout rate in the league, the fewest runs scored in the league. We're in the bottom 10 of the league for hits. We're in the bottom 3 for home runs. We're in the bottom 10 for average, on base, and slugging, and OPS. And we're in the bottom for walks. Like, there is the only thing that the Rockies are doing well right now is that when they get a hit, sometimes it's a double. Like, we're around league average in doubles. Cool.
Woo!
We're doing nothing else. I need to find the exact number, but I think we are sitting around having some of the fewest pitches per at bat. They're just not taking competitive at bats. It seems like they have no plan. Whenever they come up to the plate, they're just flailing wildly at everything. They can't hit fastballs. They can't hit breaking pitches. They can't hit anything.
They couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat.
And it's baffling how this has been allowed to continue to get worse year after year after year. And we are at the natural progression now of where this has been heading for the last several years. And it's not just the Rockies. It is throughout the organization where competitive at bats and pitch recognition and plate discipline are virtually non-existent.
Yeah, when you had over 30 strikeouts in a 3-game series, you're consistently striking out 10 plus times a game, and with 3 walks at most of the time, it's ridiculous. So it's a lot of, like you're saying, a lot of flailing. You can watch the guy in the on-deck circle. I want to know, what is their game plan there? They'll see a guy come up. He swings at 3 balls in the dirt, goes down, swinging. What do you think the pitcher is going to throw the next guy? They wave right through the breaking ball below the zone. And so I pull up, but you can pretty well bet that the Rockies are swinging more than most any team in baseball. They're whiffing more than most teams in baseball.
And they're whiffing on pitches in the strike zone as well.
Yeah.
They're not just chasing.
Yeah, and the team comes up, well, it's just it's just the timing's off. Timing's off for guys. Well, how is the timing off?
How is the timing off for the entire team? And like you hear others who's like, oh, we're running into a bunch of really good pitchers. It's like, but statistically, not everyone that you are facing is going to be the best pitcher or one of the best pitchers. But we can't do anything against anybody.
Yeah. It's pretty demoralizing when I made the joke yesterday, Chase Dollander we'll talk about Dollander later on, but gives up a home run in the first inning, first batter of the game. It's demoralizing to see that a 1-0 game and say, well,
game's over.
Game's over. We're not scoring. Like it's awful to have that feeling as a fan, because you can't just come out and say, well, you just know they're going to hit, because they've clearly proven that's not the case.
Not going to hit. The Rockies were no hit through the first 5 innings of today's game, and they ended the day with only 1 hit.
They had 2.
They had 2. Okay. Well,
yeah, Tovar hit one in the 9th. That's how we got on
going
base.
into the 9th, they had 1 hit.
Yeah, a single who was off to a putrid start.
You will forgive me for thinking that we only had 1 hit through the whole game, because that's what it felt like.
Because that's
and it doesn't really matter what they do in the 9th inning, because you know they're going to come up flat. Where yesterday was probably the best opportunity they had to win a game in this series, where they had runners on base and Chris Bryant comes up to the plate. And Chris Bryant has been awful to start the season, just unplayably bad. And he made good contact. And he hit the ball hard, and he hit the ball far. And Fernando Tatis Jr. catches the ball, and the game is over.
Makes a pretty phenomenal catch, because he's a freak athlete.
Good catch. And I think a majority of other right fielders probably don't make that catch. But at the same time, you've got to be able to hit the ball farther or harder, or the old adage, hit it where they ain't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been the problem as well, where like Ezequiel Tovar hasn't really struck out that much this series, but just consistently hitting it right to where everybody's standing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it goes back to, there's so many excuses being made that we're hearing, and I don't think it's from the players, because the players know better than anybody. They're frustrated. They know what they're doing wrong. I'm sure they're looking every which way to figure out, how can I figure. So, yeah, the thing is that we always joke about, they do need to play better. They need to up their abilities and things. The players have their part to play in all this and getting better. But it's in the interviews that we hear from Bud Black, or the broadcasting crew get into it too, of talking about the things. Well, we just ran into a really good pitcher. You're in Major League Baseball. Everybody's a good pitcher in one way or another. At one point in their life, they were the best. And so that's a day-to-day thing. That's not an excuse. You're going to run into good pitchers every day. That's why they're pitching in the big leagues, because they're a good pitcher. Unless you're the Rockies half the time. So it's these little excuses, Evan, that it just gets tiring. We need to put the ball in play more. We have younger service time players in our lineup. That shouldn't matter. What's this team doing to help these guys get better?
Especially, it's particularly galling to me when Bud Black, after the game today, says he makes a point to bring up how some of the guys have lower service time. He includes Michael Tolley in that. This is Tolley's, 4th season now? 3rd or 4th?
He came up in 23.
This is Ezequiel Tovar's, he's had multiple seasons as the starting shortstop. Really, the only guys without a lot of experience out there today were Zac Veen and Adael Amador, who just got called back up. And you can go, oh, well, it's because these guys don't have ton of service time, but your guys with lots of service time aren't hitting either.
Mm-hmm.
Bryant has 10 years of major league service time. He's been awful. Ryan McMahon has been awful. Nick Martini's been okay. Kyle Farmer has been good-ish to decent. Jacob Stallings has been awful.
Yeah. It's my brother and I have talked about this for years. How does a entire team go into a slump? The entire offense of a team go into a slump. It's always multiple guys going into a slump at once.
Can you really call it a slump, though, when it's the norm?
Ooh, put that on a t-shirt.
And that's the thing, is that this is what we are used to as Rockies fans now, watching this team, is that more often than not, everyone is quote-unquote slumping. And occasionally we get a good game out of somebody or a nice little hot streak. But outside of 2 games this year, everything's been really bad.
Yeah, it's just getting tougher. because it's the same things, and it's the status quo, and it just keeps building because we've seen these things over years upon years, and how frustrating it can be because we're just having these same conversations, like he said. We've known the problems for years, and yet it keeps getting, you know, it'll be fine. We'll figure it out. We'll be all right. Uh, was it? I was sitting on I think it was on the radio. No, he was talking. Bud Black was talking to Jack Corgan on the radio today on this Sunday and saying, "Well, at some point we're going to start. We know we're going to be scoring runs and stuff, but
But it's the regular season now. Like,
yeah,
you had a month and a half to figure this out. It's called spring training, and a pretty good spring training. But you know what I have come to decide is that the Rockies didn't have a good spring training because they were good. They had a good spring training because the other teams weren't necessarily trying to win baseball games, because it was spring training for them too. And now that the games matter and the opposing pitchers are trying, we've got nothing. And it's shocking to me because this continues to get worse. We're on our third hitting coach of the Bud Black administration, and it's continued to be a problem under each and every one. And it's gotten worse every season under each and every one.
mm-hmm.
And there's just no accountability ever. It's never, I've got to figure out what's going on. I've got to be better. We've got to figure this out. It's always, well, they just need to start stringing hits together, or they're not coming up and getting the big hit. The players need to play better. And where I'm at right now is I am legitimately baffled that any of these people are still employed.
Yeah, because it's on the brain more after the Nuggets stunned the basketball world by firing Mike Malone. The winningest coach in Nuggets history, who had won a championship with them a couple years ago. They said, no, now's the time. Enough is enough.
And if Moach's job, what Michael Malone, if his job was not safe after only 2 years after winning a championship, the first championship in the history of Denver Nuggets basketball, why on earth is Bud Black's job still safe, where he's given this indefinite leash, he's got the job until he doesn't want it anymore, infinite job security, when the best he's done was getting swept in the divisional round 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
7 years ago, actually.
Yeah, back in 2018.
Yeah. Welcome to the future of nostalgia, says the new City Connect jerseys. Rocktober was 18 years ago.
Yeah. Well, and then it makes you think that future nostalgia to tie back. That's the way the Rockies operate, Evan. They're operating in a nostalgia era of remember Rocktober. Remember when we were the playoffs? That was nice.
Except
that was
what's
7 years ago.
funny? You know what's funny about that? And I wrote about this before the season, is that the Rockies paid lip service to nostalgia. That's about it. They do a terrible job of celebrating their own history. The only statue in front of Coors Field is the nameless The Player. There's no Todd Helton statue. There's no Larry Walker statue. There's nobody else out there. But Joe Mauer is getting a statue in Minnesota. The Texas Rangers Stadium, which is only 5 years old, already has multiple statues and is getting one of Adrian Beltre, their newest Hall of Famer this year. They promised us a team Hall of Fame and team museum. Still hasn't happened. They promised to put back the evolution of the ball sculpture. Still hasn't happened. Their 30th anniversary celebration was really lackluster. They've barely got anything for the 30th anniversary of what I consider the greatest ballpark in all of Major League Baseball. It's one day, and the only Blake Street bomber they could get is Dante Bichette, who's been in some hot water, to say the least, over the last few years. It's this, like, yeah, nostalgia is great, and we all love thinking back about October. But when the Rockies need to go, oh, nostalgia, oh, this, while doing a terrible job of actually focusing on nostalgia, and at the same time being terrible on the field now,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
what is there for us.
Exactly. No, it's just all of these, the frustrations, the struggles of the team now, it just continues to intensify because people are tired. They're tired of the mediocrity, the losing. I'm sure players are. They're trying to do everything, but they're getting no support.
The vibe in that clubhouse cannot be good right now.
It's just a lot of complacency in this organization of the people at the top.
Yeah.
Who all that trickles down into the rest of it. And as we've learned, trickle down economics does not work, Evan.
And what bothers me is they talk a lot about leadership and having a great clubhouse culture and all that. But it seems to me that they don't actually have that good of a clubhouse culture, because Zac Veen, and this, I know we're running long on this segment, but this really bothered me, is that Zac Veen shows up to spring training to try and earn the starting outfield job with Rockies purple hair and lots of Rockies accessories, dinger cleats, all this other stuff. He is clearly excited to be a member of the Colorado Rockies. And he's, showing that in his own personal way, in his unique personality. And Bud Black jokes about, oh, well, he came to spring training with purple hair and now it's not purple anymore. One of his teammates had a talk with him. And it's like, so either one of his teammates, or personally, I think Bud Black, went to Zac Veen, your 22, 23-year-old top prospect outfielder, and went, hey, all that team spirit and excitement and emotion you're showing, you need to tone that down. And
they talked about that early in spring training, where they died it back. Is like, oh, it's probably just a little premature right now.
But it just harkens back to me of, well, when Zac Veen didn't make the opening roster, of, what did I say? He's the young guy with emotions and dyed hair, and that's one of the key reasons why he didn't make the roster. And they kept saying it's because of maturity.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what this Rockies organization has right now, because they're bad at nostalgia. They're bad at the current game of baseball. They've never actually really done anything in their team history up to this point. They got swept in the World Series 18 years ago. There's no accountability anywhere from anyone in the organization whatsoever. It always just gets shunted back to the players just need to play better. Oh, they're going to hit. Oh, we're just waiting for the one big hit. That one big hit's never going to come. There's never going to be one big hit where all of a sudden this is a winning organization.
Yeah.
Without wildly revamping how this entire club, from top to bottom, from Arizona Complex League to the big league team and beyond, is operated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a sickness in the system, and it needs to be honestly diagnosed and addressed. No, you can't keep ignoring the problem. The sickness isn't going to go away. Eventually, the sickness catches up to you. And right now, it's catching up to the Rockies in a very terminal fashion, that it's the well-being of this club. They are already wasting the years of Tovar. We've got, what, Evan? Let's say five years at best of Chase Dollander, if that, until he gets good enough and then demands, like, I don't want to be here. Why would anybody on this team want to stick around? Extension for Brenton Doyle? Yeah, forget that. The way
but it's also, if they stick around, they know that they can probably get an ill-advised payday.
Yeah. And hey, you just get to relax and hang out. There's no real pressure. You just try to do your best.
Like, the guy that we had hitting in the heart of our order over the last few seasons is the backup catcher and hitting 9th in the order for the Padres.
Mm-hmm. Or was batting 4th. He is now a random infielder, backup infielder for the Houston Astros on a minor league deal.
But he's already having like a pretty decent season so far. And like, even the stuff that they said was going to be good this year, like, we came into this season knowing the Rockies were probably not going to be very good. But the hope was that they would at least be young and fun. And, Dick Monfort going, oh, well, the defense is going to be one of the best in history. And they've already got the second most errors in the league right now.
Yeah. It's just broken, and the offense is just it's just like the big shining example, the poster child of this team is not in a good place right now. And somebody the heads need to roll, so to
Yeah.
speak. Something needs to happen, a shock to the system.
Like if I was the owner of the Rockies, and I'm not, just so you all know, I don't own the team. Pretty much everybody in this clubhouse would be fired today. I can't think of a single other team in this league that would have brought Bud Black back for another season after back-to-back 100-loss seasons. I cannot think of a reason why Hensley Mullins is still here. I still don't really know what Mike Redmond does. Like, I've made this joke before, but he's Buddy's guy, and he's on the team.
Bench coaches don't do much.
Daryl Scott, how is he coaching up our pitches to be better? How is Bud Black the supposed pitcher whisperer, former big league pitcher? That's why we hired him. Is supposed to have a way with the pitching staff. And we watch him mismanage and bungle situations in the bullpen and the starters on a daily basis. Why are these people still here? And this is not as like an indictment of any of these people as human beings. Bud Black's a nice enough guy. I've had the chance to talk to him. He's pretty chill. But as a big league manager right now, why is he still here? As a big league hitting coach, why is Bam Bam Mullins still here?
Yeah, it's a coaching staff is not a one size fits all. You have to fit the coaching staff with the tools you have on hand, who can utilize them. And the Rockies currently are not in a position to do so. And, it's just a lot of problems that we'll continue to talk about, Evan, as the weeks go by. But I'll go ahead and cut us off here, and we'll come back. We'll try to round this out with some at least more positive stuff about some of those younger players here when we come back here on Affected by Altitude. Back here to Affected by Altitude, Skyler and Evan. Just a little bit of time here left in this one, and we're going to round things out, Evan, here in this crap sandwich, so to speak. But 3 of the young players have been called up. Adael Amador, like you mentioned, has been promoted because Tyler Freeman went on the injured list. So that leaves open a guy to come in and play some second base and whatnot, and then maybe move Kyle Farmer around a little bit. But so he's up, which is great. Off to a good little start there down in AAA. And then Zac Veen, who was called up the last time we were recording. And then Chase Dollander, who had also just barely made his first major league start last time we recorded. It's been a week since those 2 have been up. And Dollander, his second start, Evan, some good stuff in there for the young right-hander. Good learning one. Showed his moxie.
He was a big bright spot in his start against the Padres. He gave up just 3 hits, had 7 strikeouts, went 5 2/3 innings, had 2 walks, which meh. And even when he didn't necessarily had a good feel for some of his secondary pitches, he still really pushed through and tried to pound the strike zone. Really only 2 bad pitches that entire game, both of which were for solo home runs. And you know what? A competent offense would have 2 runs be a beatable deficit.
Yeah, that was a 2-0 loss.
Yeah. The fact that he makes throwing 99 look effortless. He's got a good delivery that he repeats well. He looks great out there. That's a big league pitcher right there.
Yeah, it's showing the mindset, the Bulldog mentality. When he's out there, gives up the leadoff home run.
But he didn't go to Georgia.
Comes back and bounces back nicely, And gives up the other home run. Doesn't rattle him. He still battles through. A couple walks. Okay, I'm going to battle through. And, I would have let him try to get out of that jam there in that 6th.
Yeah, I would have loved for him to try and go for the first QS of his thing. But I do get it. He was over 90 pitches at that point. And he was becoming a little bit less effective. And while it would have been nice for him to get that final out, that is one thing where I do understand going to the bullpen a little bit. But overall, just 2 starts and nothing really surprising other than he's been good.
Yeah, it's figuring out as he develops, like understanding, okay, he's getting hit with the home run, and he's going to as a young starter with missing his pitches. It's can he show that growth and development as a starter against big league hitters and adapt? And I think he is. Oh, he rebounded nicely after giving up those home runs, didn't rattle him, comes back and blazes through that lineup against a tough Padres lineup.
Yeah, a good Padres lineup that is off to a very, very hot start offensively.
Yeah,
and pitching wise.
And he looked like a seasoned vet against him. Yeah, you could see the mistakes with some of those fastballs.
Yeah, the big thing is,
but solo homers aren't going to kill you most of the time.
Yeah, if you're not the Rockies, then that's not really a problem, and it's something that he'll continue to hopefully adjust and adapt for. Where it's when he's trying to get that fastball either up at the very top of the zone or down at the very bottom of the zone, he's instead hitting it in the middle, and that's when he gets punished.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really just keeping your locations consistent. And for the most part, he's done that very well.
Mm-hmm.
I am delighted. In my opinion, you cannot, unless he starts really struggling, you've got to keep Chase in this rotation. And you've got to let him keep developing and learning against the best competition.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unless he's, if he's not injured, you keep him in that rotation. And, if he strings together some like really bad starts, like, then you can okay, yeah, we probably need to send him down at this point in the season. No, Austin Comber's coming back, but you might trade Armand this season. You can keep him up all year as long as he's healthy and give him those learning experiences. So happy with Chase Dollander. He's looking the part, and you just hope, please don't waste these prime years of this kid on this team. But unfortunately, that seems to maybe be the case. But so that's Dollander doing his thing. Next start, I believe, will be at home against the
Nationals.
Will he get that City Connect Friday? I believe he does. No, he gets that Saturday.
I'm looking right now. Type.
No way. No, he will get that Friday.
Yeah, Chase Dollander will get City Connect Friday because Freeland pitched today, Sensi tomorrow, Felty on Tuesday, and Armand on Wednesday. Day off Thursday, back on Friday. Yeah,
there you go.
So the first start in the lovely new City Connect uniforms will be young Mr. Chase Dollander.
There you
That's
go.
fun. Okay, that's something.
That's something to look forward to. But then the other kid getting called up, Zac Veen. It's been an interesting first week for Zac Veen, where hasn't hit the ground running, but you can see where he could maybe if he can put some things together, like the dynamic he can bring to a team on the base paths. Oh, he got his first hit, which was a bunt, an infield single on a bunt. Oh, he's I don't think he's really stolen many bases, or he doesn't have many attempts. But he had that big double at home in their win on getaway day. You can see what you can like about him. He does have some issues, though, Evan. Namely, the fastball, and more specifically, the fastball up.
Yeah, he's swinging through those. It's like he is not seeing them at all. And big league pitching staffs have been attacking that for him, especially in this series against the Padres. And I'm very happy that he has played every game so far since he got called up. That is great. But now he needs to start adjusting. And that's one of the things where I'm not sure this is the best coaching staff to help him adjust. But it's especially been those fastballs high, where swing, and just not getting any of it.
Yeah, no, because they talk about he plays reckless. We've seen the aggression at the plate. He's a kid who wants to put the ball in play. He's just a go. But this is a deep cut. People remember the movie Holes. The kid. The kid that shows up to replace Zero, and he's got the kind of the twitchy kid that was yeah, I got in that he stole a car and stuff. he looks like he grew up to become Zac Veen. He looks the
That's a
exact same as that
that's a
kid.
deep cut, a tertiary character from like a 20-year-old movie.
But he's just kind of, you can tell he's
Sam
kind of that.
Sam looks at the Colorado Rockies and goes, "I can't fix that."
Yeah, but he's kind of got that twitchy energy to him that can be a good spark. Problem is, there's no Tinder for this team, and so those sparks aren't really igniting anything. And he's got his own struggles of
He's a
trying to
lighter with
adapt.
no butane.
Mm-hmm.
And he has struggled. Like, he's 3 for 22 so far. He's got 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, 1 ribby, 1 double, and his only attempted stolen base, he was caught stealing. Not great.
Mm-hmm. And
but
like
you can see it. Oh,
yeah,
you can see it. You just want to reach out and grab it and get a good grip of that potential that he's got. You can see it there.
yeah. You know, and part of that, you can see some of that maturity. Like he wears his emotions on his sleeve. No, he struck. There's a game he struck out and slams the bat in the ground. No, I think he like grounded out or something. And you can hear on the field mics a loud profanity as he's running down to first. Instances where those are instances, Evan, where you do want a veteran like, hey man, like it's okay, and like don't let those eat you up.
Yeah,
type of thing. It's okay to have your emotions, but don't let them. No, you don't. Don't let the enemy know that you're scared or angry a lot of the time.
I would love to see Brenton Doyle take him under his wing. Um, it's honestly very charming. When Veen comes up, one of the first guys he talked about was how excited he was to be playing with Brenton Doyle. He goes, "That's my favorite player,"
Mm-hmm.
and I would like to see Brenton teach him, because Brenton has talked about becoming more of a leader now that he is a veteran. And I think this is a prime opportunity to teach this young guy what it means to be a big leaguer
Yeah.
without taking his emotion, without taking his personality out of it. Because that's one of my problems with the Rockies and the way that it's built, is that it really is a team of nondescript white guys for the most part. And there's not a ton of personality that shines through.
It's a lot of plain popsicles.
Like
My
Nick
favorite
Martini.
flavor, plain.
So it's an ice cube.
Yeah.
When I want somebody who's going to be the Popeyes pickle lemonade for the Colorado Rockies, which I tried today for my lunch, and you know what? It's pretty good. I would get this again.
Gross. You've just lost all credibility.
It wasn't gross.
Nope. You've lost all credibility.
I mean, if you like pickles, which I do,
I
and
do
you like
not.
lemonade, which I do, it's good. It was good.
Nope. You've lost all credibility. What a way to end this episode, Evan.
I never had any credibility. Look at what the commenters say about me on Purple Row.
But no, it's, you want him to let the personality shine through, the good aspects of the personality. Like nobody on this team is having fun right now. And so
Yeah.
you got to figure out a way of how can you start having fun again.
And
then
it's something that we've seen a lot over the last couple of years, is when everybody in this clubhouse seems miserable.
Yeah.
And that's a shame, because we've got these young, exciting guys who do have fun personalities. You know, Brenton Doyle is fun. And Ezequiel Tovar is hilarious because he is like a 65-year-old man in the body of a 23-year-old Venezuelan kid.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got all these guys. You've got pitchers who've got personality. Down in AAA, you've got Jeffrey Yan, who's already becoming a fan favorite in Albuquerque. But you can't let the big personalities be a detriment. And I do get that. You don't want to have a Ja Morant with the Memphis Grizzlies kind of situation.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want, because in baseball, that it's just not sustainable. You can see Zac being like, I'm the bee's knees. I am the S. I'm the best thing that ever. It's good to have confidence, but don't be just never always make sure that's never a detriment of like bringing down the mood and vibe of the team. But
at the same time, you don't want to do what we've knocked Chris Bryant for, which is be a little bit of a sad sack.
Mm-hmm.
There's a healthy middle ground to everything.
Yes, everything in moderation, Evan.
Yeah, I could eat a whole box of Girl Scout cookies.
And
That's
I will.
bad. That's technically bad. I could also eat no Girl Scout cookies. Well, now I'm sad. But if I have 3 Girl Scout cookies, then I'm happy because I got to eat the cookies, but I don't have an upset stomach later because I ate an entire box of tagalongs.
Oh, there's your problem.
Oh, they're so good though. Skyler, what's your favorite?
Hammer through a box of Thin Mints.
What's your favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Probably just Thin Mints.
It's a solid choice. I like Thin Mints. They're probably my 3rd favorite.
Side note, charge less, Girl Scouts. Stop raising your prices like Netflix every year.
$6 a box is a bit much.
Yeah. Throw in some extra cookies in there. Then we'll talk.
Darn shrinkflation.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyways, let's hope the Rockies can shrink their bad offense.
How much their offense sucks.
Yeah, and increase how good their young players can be.
It just really is, and not to harp on this because we spent so much time talking about it, but the energy in this clubhouse needs a drastic shakeup, and I do think the Rockies need to take inspiration from the Nuggets, who decided to fire Michael Malone 3 games before the end of the season to see if maybe it could give them a spark.
Yeah, because the vibes were often
there's no spark. And it's very similar situation. So if you have a manager who has previous success and you think has a lot of rope, and he and the GM are butting heads, and the players are caught in the middle, and nobody's happy. Your superstars aren't happy, and your Nikola Jokic, your bench players aren't happy. Nobody's having a good time. And that's the Rockies right now. Nobody's having a good time. I'm not having a good time either.
It's true. This has been the toughest already to cover the Rockies, and we've been covering them for 5 years now.
Yeah, this is our 5th season of covering the Rockies.
What of a heck of a time.
This is what, episode 160 or 161, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, through 15 games, this is the worst Rockies team I've ever watched. This is the hardest to watch Rockies team. It's the worst offense I've ever seen from this team. And you can't just keep doing the same thing and expecting it to get better. Because I think it's very clear at this point, it's not just going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Bud Black's not going to magically find this spark and turn this team into a contender. Even if the front office says that he, quote unquote, deserves to see it through.
Nope. You owe nothing to anybody.
There's just not the synergy there. And that's the thing, is like, there are teams where you, in Colorado, that you can look at is, you know what? It's the Avs, where they now have the longest tenured head coach in Denver right now, in Jared Bednar. He's got good synergy with the front office. Players love him, and they're getting results on the ice.
But there's also the understanding that, if things start to go south at some point, he can easily be out of the job.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is like, hockey especially is a very volatile coaching market. But even then, the Avs also done the right thing of, wow, we are underperforming. This team needs a shakeup. Bam. 2 new goalies, a bunch of new players. The team is barely recognizable from what it was at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And the Rockies just don't do that. There's never any big shakeups. There's never any big changes. There's never any trying to find the stride. It's just, well, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And eventually it's got to work, right, guys?
Yeah.
And it's been like that for 33 years.
Yeah, let me we'll close on this note. If I can pull up the quote here. This is from former manager Clint Hurdle's book, Hurdleisms. Not too shabby. I enjoyed it. A lot of good comments in there. But one of his hurdleisms that he had, if I can pull this up here, where is it? There it is. Where is it? There it is. Number 17, hurdleism in his book. Lower the bar and you lose the winners. Raise the bar and you lose the losers. So it's like, what is the standard for excellence with the Rockies? What is their standard? And if it's a low standard, they need to raise that and start changing who is here to help obtain that standard. But from where it is right now, it's a pretty low standard.
Yeah. And we need, honestly, if it's not going to be Clint Hurdle, but honestly, we need a manager like Clint Hurdle.
We just need people in that front office who can push those things as well.
Yeah. You hear Bud Black and you hear Bill Schmidt talk, and there's no fire. They sound like your grandpa after his 3 whiskey lunch, and he's fallen asleep in his chair with reruns of Jag or whatever.
He's watching MASH.
Put in whatever. I like MASH. Put on whatever show your grandpa fell asleep to in front of. For my grandpa, it was Jag. And there's nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. There's no spark, and that's what this team needs. Something's got to give.
Anything.
As the movie once said.
I am asking them to do literally anything.
Mm-hmm. Someone's got to fall on the sword. Don't just throw a rando under the bus like a PJ Piliteri or Reed Cornelius, because clearly they were not the problem. Oh, well. We'll see. It's going to be a long season, folks. Keep tuning in every week here on Affected by Altitude. New episodes every Monday on your favorite podcasting platforms and on YouTube for the video version. We appreciate you tuning in. Evan, where can the folks find you?
Well, you can find me over on purplerow.com, writing the Monday Rock Piles and the Tuesday weekly Pebble Reports. Find me on Blue Sky at evanlang27.bsky.social. Remember, you can always find Rocky Mountain Rooftop podcasts and shows on your favorite podcasting platforms of choice, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and like Skyler said, the video version over on youtube.com. Remember, you can also find Rocky Mountain Rooftop on all of your favorite social media platforms, including YouTube, at Rocky Mountain Rooftop. That's at ROCKYMTN Rooftop.
And find me over on Twitter at Skyler Timmons or over on Blue Sky at stimmons13.bsky1.social. Yeah, fun stuff. Writing Wednesday Rock Piles and writing over at fansfirstsports.com, where I'll do some game recaps and other stuff as well. Read them if you want. If not, hey, that's okay. I get paid either way. Well, we appreciate everybody's support here through this long season. And let us know of other topics or questions and things in the comments. And we'll try to get to them in other episodes. Keep the conversation going. Let us know your thoughts here on the team. We're going to get through this together, and hopefully we'll be cheering sometime soon. But anyways, this has been Affected by Altitude. Until next time, farewell. This has been Affected by Altitude, a Colorado Rockies podcast with Rocky Mountain Rooftop, a proud affiliate of the Fans First Sports Network. Catch new episodes every Monday on wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Be sure to follow us on YouTube as well for video versions of the show.